Hello, my name is Sean Mercer, and I am presenting my lesson plan for ninth grade literature. My lesson plan had students pick a career choice, something they may be interested in learning or researching for their future, and the lesson consisted of two components. The students were to do research and write a informational research paper, and also a presentation of the research findings. The research was conducted using Chromebooks. We have one-to-one Chromebooks, and so students had access to those at all times. They could use the media center, and then they could use interviews via Skype or even inter- local interviews. So if a student wanted to be a teacher, for instance, they could interview their favorite teacher at our on campus, or they could interview their PE coach if they wanted to be a coach one day. Those were local interviews, but then they could also interview people via Skype interviews. The lesson was student directed and teacher facilitated. The students worked independently, and they could have help from myself or the regular education teacher, or they could even get help from their peers. The We facilitated it by giving a rubric and a schedule for when they were supposed to have everything turned in, and the presentation, they could choose one of three different technology resources to present their findings. The first one being an Adobe Spark video. That's the page I'm on right here. The Adobe Spark video we learned about this semester, but the students could pick one of these templates that already existed, or they could even create their own template. Um, we had a lot of students that had fun with that one. They really enjoyed it, but the favorite, and I think it was my favorite this semester that we learned about, but I think it was a favorite that the students used for presentations, was the Padlet presentation. And they really liked this because it was kind of like a Pinterest page. They could set it up, like they could say that they wanted to be a teacher, and then they could make different uh, post-its essentially of teacher salaries, and like what the average salary is in different states maybe, or what the retirement age is for teachers, and so forth. And so they really enjoyed the Padlets. They could do the background, any background they wanted, and they enjoyed that. And then we had a simple Google Slides presentation, very similar to a regular PowerPoint presentation. They could, again, go with some templates that they already have on their site, or they could just create their own from scratch. And so those were uh, the three technology resources I recommended. They could really use any others if they wanted to, but they really used those quite a bit. Um, the implementation of the lesson was fairly smooth. There was a few hiccups. One particular hiccup was the Skype interviews. That was a great idea on paper, but not always a great idea when it comes to finding people to interview these students. The students, if they wanted someone to interview in a career that may be outside of our town or somewhere like that, someone we didn't know, it was really hard to get someone to participate in those Skype interviews. And so um, that was tough. Um, how could the lesson be improved in the future? The first thing I would say, obviously, I would need to revamp the Skype interviews. I would need to find some resources beforehand and have the students be able to go to those people. The problem is I wouldn't necessarily know what careers they're going to choose, but I could have some at least on hand. And so that would be a good way to fix it. I also don't think I will let students pick athletics or sports anymore as a career choice. And it's not that those aren't legit careers; it's that the odds of them making it are slim, and I want them to pick something that, if maybe athletics didn't work out, what could they fall back on? And so that's how I would change it. I had three or four boys specifically that all thought they were going to be professional football players, and they very well could be. But the odds of that are very slim, and so that's what I would change if I was to change anything. So that was my lesson plan, and I hope you all enjoyed it.